The park near my apartment was its own little world, full of people who looked like they'd stepped out of a fitness catalog. There were runners with perfect strides, dog walkers with toned arms, even yogis in positions that made me wonder if their spines were made of rubber. I'd wander there most days, under the pretense of getting in my steps, but let's be real, when the scenery's that good, who's counting? One afternoon, as I stretched out on a stone bench halfway through my walk, I saw her. Petite, with curves that made my heart skip a beat, her brown hair catching the sun like honey. At her side was a tiny, scruffy dog, trotting along with a proud little swagger, as if he knew his owner was the crown jewel of the park. Watching her walk by, I felt a slow, deliberate pull, like she had her own gravity. In that moment, the bench might as well have been quicksand, because I was helplessly sinking into her orbit. That night, back in my apartment, I couldn't shake her from my mind. She had that kind of allure that lingers, the kind that makes a guy think reckless thoughts. I'd seen her a few times, always around 3 p.m., but every other guy in the park probably noticed her too. I could walk up and compliment her dog, but that'd be about as subtle as wearing a neon sign that says, "I'm trying to impress you." No, if I wanted to get her attention, I needed a plan with some style. Then, as if fate itself was up to some mischief, my neighbor Ben posted a note on social media looking for a dog walker. His Cocker Spaniel Milo was just the accomplice I needed. When I knocked on his door, Ben handed over Milo's leash with a grin. "Thanks, man. Milo's friendly. He'll love a little stroll." I nodded, already picturing that hourglass figure and her tiny, prancing sidekick. My mission was set. Milo and I arrived at the park, but of course, the universe loves a tease. She was nowhere to be found. I tried to play it cool, lingering by the stone bench and strolling a few extra laps, but nothing. Even Milo seemed to sense my impatience. After 2 hours of wandering and lingering, I finally gave up, feeling mildly ridiculous as we trudged back home. The next day, I was there early, determined to catch her. And at 2:45, like clockwork, she appeared. She was wearing a beige tank that hugged her figure in all the right ways, and those tiny navy gym shorts with white trim, the kind that make every guy nostalgic for a school crush. I stood there shamelessly staring until Milo nudged me out of my trance. Her dog trotted over, and before I knew it, the two of them were smelling each other. "Milo's a charmer," I said with a grin, trying to sound casual. "Your little sidekick's got style too. What's his name?" "Pixie," she replied, her lips curling into a smile that was part sweet, part sin. "She's a poodle mix." Pixie, cute. I cursed my lack of originality, but in her presence, my usual charm felt like it had packed up and left. Desperate to keep her attention, I added, "What's your name?" "Chloe," she said, offering a light wave as Pixie tugged her onward. "I'm Elliot," I managed to say, hoping it sounded confident rather than desperate. She gave a brief wave before walking on, leaving me convinced that was all I'd get. Chloe seemed like the kind of woman who knew how to leave a guy wanting more. But just as I was bracing myself for a solo walk home, Pixie did a sudden U-turn, practically dragging Chloe back toward Milo and me. Chloe stopped just a foot away, her eyes gleaming with something I couldn't quite place. "I haven't seen you around here before," she said, her voice low and almost inviting. Before I could come up with a smooth response, she added, "But I know Milo. He belongs to my friend Ben." My stomach flipped. Yeah, Ben had something going on, so he asked me to walk Milo for him. My face must have been blazing red. Chloe's eyebrow arched slightly, her lips parting into a small, knowing smile. "Interesting. Ben told me someone walked Milo for over 2 hours yesterday. That's a lot of dedication for a favor." She didn't break eye contact, her gaze sliding over me like she knew exactly what I'd been up to. I cleared my throat, forcing a laugh. "Well, I should have known dog owners around here would be connected." She hesitated, a glint of intrigue in her eyes before adding, "Ben and I actually used to go out." So much for my clever plan. Sometimes, the universe just likes to remind you that all your brilliant schemes have already been thought up by 1,000 guys before you. I let out a small, rueful laugh, feeling like I'd been caught red-handed in my own game. Pixie gave a little tug on her leash, and Milo, ever the patient sidekick, looked up at me as if to say, "Is this going anywhere?" Chloe glanced over her shoulder, and I thought she was leaving for good. But then she turned and called, "Come say hi, even without Milo next time." She waved one last time as she walked off, her figure disappearing into the distance like a temptation. Milo lay his head on my lap, looking up at me as if to say, "Are you done now? Can we go home?" Thanks for tagging along on this little adventure. Sometimes all it takes is a borrowed dog and a dash of courage to turn a casual stroll into something memorable. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and join me next time as I chase down more quirky moments and unexpected connections. And remember, life's full of surprises, so always leave room for a little mischief. Catch you later.